everybody, welcome to a new video, and today I want to talk about Capcom. You know, with the recent announcement of Resident Evil 8, everybody's pretty excited. You know, they really all for that game, I would say. A lot of people love the Resident Evil engine they created for Resident Evil 7, and they're continuing that with Resident Evil 8. But the extra that we saw towards the end of that trailer, the last one they released, where they show Resident Evil Verse, you know, at the beginning of that trailer, you see like Leon like running through the RPD station, and when I saw that moment, I was like, dude, I got so pumped. I was like, yes, they finally do an Outbreak. And then all of a sudden he runs into Claire and they start shooting at each other. I'm like, wait a minute, not supposed to shoot at each other, you're supposed to shoot at zombies, monsters. And that's when all my hopes were let down again. You know, Capcom dropped the ball again. This is not a Resident Evil Outbreak game. Resident Evil Versus is some multiplayer match game that nobody asked for. And they're saying the good part about it is they're tacking it on with Resident Evil 8. So you're getting 2 games for the price of 1. Kind of what they said with Resident Evil 3 and Resident Evil Resistance. And, you know, I thought that was bullshit. You know, those games were subpar, and I'll go into that in a second here. Now, Capcom was on the right track when they did the Resident Evil 2 remake. You know, I really liked that game a lot. It was missing some stuff, but I was able to forgive for the most part. But then when they got to Resident Evil 3, that was the main one they had the option to really open up. You know, I thought they were going to really go into detail, add some stuff to that game, plus include some of the old school stuff that was in the original game. But when you play Resident Evil 3 Remake, you know, it just feels like it was a rushed product. And to justify the price tag of it being a full price tag, they added the Resident Evil Resistance game to it. So they say, hey, 2 games for 1, great. I'm like, dude, man, I mean, that Resident Evil Resistance game is pretty much like a Dead by Daylight game, pretty much. And it's not a good game that you really want to play. It's like, just, to me, it was all messed up. And I was like, dude, I'm not playing this crap. So I just felt like that was just a way for them to justify the price tag. But what really happened, and this is what I believe, is that they had developers leave the Resident Evil 3 remake and go to work on the Resident Evil 8 game. That's how I feel. I feel like a lot of development left and shifted over to Resident Evil 8 pretty much. Now, a lot of people may not know this, but Resident Evil 8 actually used to be Resident Evil Revelations 3. They decided that they wanted to put a numbered entry out in the main series, so they switched out titles pretty much. So the original Resident Evil 8 is still being worked on. It's going to probably be Resident Evil 9 now. But that's what happened with this game, and I just feel like I don't know, man. I just feel like they're just trying to rush something out to meet demands on time, I guess. You know, they're not really developing something new and interesting. Now, I'm not saying Resident Evil 8 is not going to be interesting, you know, but looking at those enemies in that game, the 4 sisters or whatever they are, man, I mean, they don't seem, I mean, they may be stalkers or whatnot, but they're not really going to be like stalkers you're afraid of. Like, when you were playing Resident Evil 2 Remake, you were actually afraid of the tyrant, Mr. X. You didn't want to run into him or whatnot, you know, especially on your first playthrough of the game. But people who play Resident Evil 8, man, they're probably going to be enjoying running into those sisters because I guess they're just easy on the eyes, so they're not really intimidating. But, you know, they look like they're going to be the stalkers pretty much during the main campaign, so we'll see how that transitions. But as of right now, they're not really what I would call an intimidating enemy, you know, something you're going to be scared of. You know, Nemesis, Mr. X, Tyrant, those guys were pretty fearless. You know, you didn't want to run into them, you know, but these ladies, it's like, I don't know, I see like players running into them on purpose and everything like that, seeing what they could like do and all that stuff, so it's going to be pretty weird and stuff, but hey, that's how it is. I guess what I'm trying to say is when this lady's on the screen, I forgot her name, but when they see her as a potential enemy or whatnot, just even on screen, most gamers gonna probably be thinking about laying pipe, not running from her or evading her attacks and stuff like that. So I'm just putting it out there. Now, going back into the Outbreak thing, you know, it just seems like Capcom does not want to bring us a Resident Evil Outbreak game. You know, people have been asking for a sequel or a remake for years, and they just don't want to do it, man. It's always some kind of half measure, you know, and it sucks, you know. The footage you're seeing here on the screen is me, Joel, and John. We're actually playing Resident Evil Outbreak, but we're playing it on the PC. some fans actually got the Japanese version back online for Outbreak 1 and 2, and they translated it into English so you could play online again, and it's pretty awesome. We had a great time playing this, and I just don't understand why Capcom wouldn't bring this kind of experience back, especially since, Resident Evil Outbreak, a lot of people don't notice, but that game was ahead of its time. It actually started development back after the original Resident Evil 2 was complete. They started working on the game, and when it was released in 2004, it was kind of like, for the PS2 at least, PS2 wasn't a great online system, of course, it was just in the beginning, or you would say infancy or whatnot, but it was good enough, and I remember playing it, and it was a good time, but like I said, it was ahead of its time. So if that thing was probably on something like the PS3 or something like that, it would have been a lot better online, received, I would say. More people would have got to play it or whatnot. But it just seems like it's an abandoned project, and it's actually a really solid game. Even playing the game offline, it's a lot of fun. I really think the Outbreak series would probably be one of the best online Resident Evil experience that people can have, depending if you could get past like the way it is, it is based off of the old school system of the original Resident Evil games, Resident Evil 1 up until Resident Evil Code Veronica. So if you don't like tank controls and all that stuff, you probably won't like it. Maybe that's the reason why they're straying away from it. The tank controls, they can't figure out how to do it, But I think there's enough of a fan base that, the game will be successful, definitely to the most hardcore Resident Evil players. The newcomers, I'm not really sure. I think they would be. I think they would follow suit. I mean, if there was enough of a fan base to get this game actually back online, then there's definitely a fan base that would love to see this game like officially remade or a sequel like back online for the newer systems, because it would work so much better. But I'm just tired of Capcom using these other games trying to say, oh, Resident Evil Versus, and it's like, nobody asked for that. Resistance, come on, man, you could have put those resources in an Outbreak game. Quit wasting your time, and then like tacking it on and everything like that to the main games they're putting out. It's just like, come on, man, it's just a half measure that I hate seeing. And Capcom has been doing it for a while. Unfortunately, they do good for a while, then all of a sudden they try some bullshit and try to see if that'll win people over, and it doesn't, man. Versus, from what I'm seeing online, people are not really liking what they're seeing. Maybe you see some of those streamers that'll enjoy anything just to get like a free code or something like that. But it's just not right that they're not giving the fans what they want. You know what I mean? Like Resident Evil players and the people who buy Resident Evil games, they're really very supportive from what I've seen. So I don't see why Capcom wouldn't want to put something like this together. I'm starting to think that some of their people that develop games are kind of intimidated by making this game for some reason. They don't want to make the effort to make it or whatnot, because they have to follow the quality of this game. And being with half measures and all that stuff like they did with Resident Evil 3, they want to cut corners somehow. And that's probably the problem why we're not seeing an Outbreak game, because it would have to live up to the original games, because so many fans like these games. But who knows? It could be other reasons. I'm not really sure. But man, I just want these games to be remade or something like that, because they deserve it. Like any Resident Evil game that deserves to be remade, the Outbreak series is it. And no doubt about it. Some of you may disagree with me, but man, if you saw me and Media Glitch like playing online and having a good time with this game, you guys know what I'm talking about. It was great. It was a great experience trying to survive Raccoon City together. It was terrifying. It was great. We had a good time. But I don't know, man. We'll see in the future. Maybe Capcom has something up their sleeve. I'm not gonna hold my breath or nothing like that. I'm still somewhat disappointed with the Resident Evil 3 remake. So that was Resident Evil 3 is my favorite in the series, the original game. So I was really hoping for some good stuff with the remake. But at least that, even though it didn't live up to it, I got the original still that I could play and still enjoy, which is great. I hope that Capcom will listen to the fans and start trying to bring out those other IPs. Bring back Dino Crisis. That's an awesome series. But at the same time, from a business perspective, they are trying to make money, and I understand that. They got games like Monster Hunter out there making them a lot of money. So I figured that they could kind of develop other stuff as well to kind of bring stuff back. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. it seems like they're going the way of Konami. If they don't think it'll make money, then they're not going to even bother with it. And that's their perspective. They're not asking the fans. You know, they got to look at the fans who actually pay for it. So I don't know, man. I just feel like really conflicted about this. You know, I really love the Outbreak series, and I can't say it enough times, man. They should bring it back. But that's it for this rant, guys. Sorry, I just thought about it. You know, I was like, man, because that Resident Evil verse just really just like turned me off, man. I was like, oh, dude, why would they put this in here? But yeah, guys, that's all I got for you in this video. Have some regular scheduled videos coming up. We'll have the Radical Podcast coming back and all that good stuff. And I'll leave a link into my my other channel as well, so you guys can check that out. I don't have any content uploaded yet, but I'm preparing some content for the other channel. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for you. Radical Reggie, and I will see you all later.